Hi, this is Julie Horning, school counselor and College Credit Plus liaison for New Albany High School. Every year, we do an annual information session to share information with New Albany families about the opportunities offered at local colleges. This is the second video in a series of two. The first would have been the overview provided by our higher education partners from Ohio State, Columbus State, and Kenyan. It's essential that you watch that video first. They go through all the nuts and bolts, state eligibility requirements, pros and cons, and general information regarding College Credit Plus. So now that you've watched that video, we welcome you to College Credit Plus at New Albany High School. As you can see, I'm the liaison, and Assistant Principal Ms. Warren is the administrator that oversees College Credit Plus. Your main source of contact will be your school and college counselor, as listed below. Of course, our alphabet has changed to accommodate VLP this year, but please reach out to your assigned counselor if you have additional questions. So our agenda for this presentation is to just give you more specific information about what College Credit Plus looks like at New Albany High School, the application processes, how one registers, textbooks, and other considerations. Originally, College Credit Plus was called Post-Secondary Educational Options, or PSEO. It's changed a bit over the year, but the idea is still the same. It's high school students taking college classes. It's not college level classes, it's actually college classes, which makes it much different than an honors or AP class. We have students every year take advantage of this program. Last year, we had nearly 400. As large of a number that is, it's a decrease from the 1920 year. And that makes sense due to the changes with COVID. We always have a handful of kiddos take our engineering math course offered with Wright State, partner taught with a high school teacher, our Columbus State courses, and then our longest partnership has been with Kenyan, and we have 238 students taking CAP courses currently. So our off-campus enrollment, while our on-campus enrollment has decreased, our off-campus enrollment had a huge increase from last year. As you can see, even with a huge increase, we don't have large numbers taking these classes off campus, and there's lots of reasons for that. A lot of the information I'll go over today can be found on the school website. If you go to the New Albany homepage, click departments, select the college, school and college counseling department, and then under for students, you'll see a link for College Credit Plus. Because there is so much information, I do try to keep it all in one spot. Every year I'll post that annual video, so you'll be able to rewatch it as needed. And then we'll have the letter of intent, or the intention to participate. This is an essential step that I'll go over in a minute or two. I also have the application process by college. This can change frequently. And for some reason, when colleges change their websites, they don't always let me know. So please, if you're ever on there and one of the links is a dead end, let me know and I'll update it for everyone else. And again, for our the schools our students most commonly go to, I will have their individual processes available with clicks, just like, so you're like one click away from those applications. All right, so step one is attend or watch an information session. For this year, that means both the overview provided by the colleges and the session you're watching now. So thank you for completing step one. Step two is completing that letter of intent. This is really important. When you sign this, you should have a really good sense of what College Credit Plus is all about. That means knowing the benefits, knowing how to apply and register for classes, understanding what happens if you don't do well in a class, and that potentially you could be charged for the cost of a class, which could be up to $600, or the charge, you might incur a charge of a textbook. So please, please, before you sign the letter of intent, read it and make sure you're comfortable. If there's anything you're unclear of, you can always have an appointment with your high school counselor. Step 3 is following the directions based on the college or program you're attending. And a lot of this is going to be happening during registration, which typically occurs January, February of every school year. So I just have to say something about email. A lot of kids and students will tell me like, Miss Horney, I just don't read emails. If a student isn't one to read email, they may not be ready for College Credit Plus, because not only do they need to monitor their New Albany email, they also need to regularly check their college email. So if you take a class with Columbus State, even if it's on New Albany's campus, you'll still get a Columbus State email. Same with Ohio State Academy and the other schools. They'll be sending essential information about deadlines, withdrawal dates, changes in programming, things that we as a high school may not know, but the college has information that they need their students to be aware of. So please, if you're not yet ready to read email every day, maybe press pause on jumping into College Credit Plus. Another note about that, those emails go right to students. The college doesn't carbon copy parents on those, so it really would need to be the student looking at them. All right, this is a class that we've offered at the high school for a number of years now. It's been very successful. We have lots of students interested in engineering, and taking engineering math is a great way to explore these concepts while in high school. So students in this class, it will be taught, typically it's been Miss Moreland and a professor at Wright State. To be eligible for this course, there is a testing requirement of a 25 or higher on the math ACT, and that the student is enrolled in or has already taken AP Calc AB or BC. Recommendations for this course will be given during our normal registration period, which again is typically January, February. At that point, any student's current math teacher may or may not recommend engineering mathematics for the following year. Just because a student is recommended for it doesn't necessarily mean that they have to take it. They may choose not to, because again, it is a college class and is a little different than your typical high school class. Our largest partnership is with Kenyan. I think we've had classes offered at New Albany campus through the CAP program for at least a decade, and I know longer. Here are some of the classes that we have historically offered. Again, like with engineering math, this is all going to happen during the registration process. So in January, February, current English teachers, social studies teachers, fine arts teachers will give a recommendation that a student could consider taking one of these Kenyan classes. They'll also provide other recommendations as well. If a student decides they want to take a Kenyan class, they're going to need to, again, read their emails to get information about placement testing and the dual enroll process. There's very specific instructions that have to be completed to finalize your registration in CAP class. So signing up through New Albany alone will not register you for the CCP class. Kids that don't complete the registration application process will be withdrawn from the course and placed in a New Albany High School course. The third college that offers classes at New Albany is Columbus State. Historically, we have offered both World Civ 1 and 2 and Geology. However, we have a number of students that take Columbus State classes online or on the Columbus State campus. They have the Columbus downtown campus, but there are also some regional learning centers that might be a little easier to get to as far as parking. The Columbus State application process is all done online. When applying to Columbus State, it's really important that you select the College Credit Plus application, not the application for incoming freshmen. Once you've applied within 24 to 48 hours, typically, you'll receive an email back and you'll be given your essential Cougar ID number. This number is used for everything at Columbus State, so it's important to have that handy. Once you have your Cougar ID number, you'll be required to take a placement test or submit SAT or ACT scores. Depending on the number of students that choose to take a Columbus State class at New Albany, we do offer it on campus here at New Albany. However, if it is for a class that a student is taking at the Columbus State campus, we recommend they take the AccuPlacer at Columbus State. I've taken my own children there. I mean, they're not children any longer, but I took my kids through the process when they were in high school. One, so I could get familiar with what it's like, and two, just to get feedback on their experience. And we went on a Saturday morning, and it really was really easy in and out. They were super friendly. It is important to bring all of the documents that they require, though, before they do their placement test. If you do have an SAT or ACT score, you would send it directly from ACT or the College Board. Once registered and placement testing is complete, if again, we'll wait to hear what the guidelines will be for the 21-22 school year. If they change at all, we'll let you know. But regardless, you'll have an orientation and an official registration where you select your Columbus State classes. You'll get a form that needs to be signed by the parent, the student, and their school counselor. It's really important for students that take classes at Columbus State that if they make changes to their schedule, which happens if they do a drop or add, that they let their school counselor know, especially if they've already submitted an initial registration consent form. The Ohio State Academy. This has become most common with our students who max out the math classes at New Albany High School, completing AP Calc BC as a junior, and they'll continue on to take Calc 3 at Ohio State Academy. However, we also have students that have selected it for the John Glenn program and a couple other courses that we don't offer that they find really interesting. Probably the biggest thing with Ohio State is being on their campus. It's a big campus. Often kids will have to park and walk, up to a mile to get to their class, or maybe take one of the campus buses. That just increases the amount of time it takes out of your week. So it's really important that this is the right match for you. It is really nice when we have multiple kids taking the same class that they've done some carpooling and figured out some ways to simplify the process. So like Columbus State, a student will apply to the Ohio State Academy. If they're applying to the Columbus campus, it is highly competitive. And then the academic advisor at OSU will have students participate in an orientation and then set up a meeting, and they'll have a meeting to set up their schedule. Again, it really will depend on what prerequisites there are, when a particular class is being offered, and if there's seats in that class for CCP students. Michelle Brown was in the first video that you watched. She is our main point of contact. She's fantastic. She's done CCP with OSU for a very long time and is a wonderful resource. So textbooks, this is where it can get a little bit confusing. And this is for those students taking classes at Columbus State or at Ohio State. Once you enroll in a class, a college will give you instructions on getting a textbook. However, the college doesn't include the directions for each specific high school. So New Albany, our textbook policy has to be followed in conjunction with the college's textbook policy. The first step always before ever purchasing a textbook at a university bookstore is to see if we already have it in our own inventory. On our website, we keep this list available for students. They can click on the list and see the book number and the ISBN number. If we have the book, you must use our book. You cannot purchase a book. If you purchase a book we already have, you can be charged for it. Once you have checked our inventory, if we do not carry that textbook, then you'll follow the process of each college. They're each a little bit different, and the college advisor should be able to provide you details on purchasing a book and even purchasing online books. Another super important step to avoid getting charged is once you're done with a class, you must return the textbook that you bought at the bookstore. So again, Ohio State or Columbus State might send you directions on how to return a book to them. We want you to, at that point, disregard that, return the book to New Albany High School. Once you've returned it, we check that off and you will not be charged for the book. If we don't receive the return book, you will get a bill from our administrative office. Okay, so probation. No one starts in College Credit Plus even thinking that they're not going to do well. However, we're talking about high school students taking college classes. And there's more than just the intellectual piece. There is a maturity piece, time management, prioritizing. That can get tricky for the first time a student takes a college class. So if a student is unfortunately unsuccessful and earns an F or an incomplete in a course, they're responsible to pay the district back for the cost of tuition. It can be, I think maybe an average class is about $600. And that's tough because they've already, when a student has already failed a class, that's tough. But then to actually have to pay for that failing grade is pretty difficult. And it does happen every year. We'll have a student or two that we would not have predicted that is not successful in a College Credit Plus course. If a student, they may not fail a course, but let's say they get some Ds and they have below a 2-point, they will also be placed on probation. And thirdly, any student that withdraws from a class, 2 or more classes, will be placed on probation. If you're on probation, you will be notified, and there are ways to get back into the program if you have a bad year. So there are so many little details about College Credit Plus, and we know it can be confusing. It does require a lot of research and reading and asking questions. We really wanted to provide an opportunity for live question and answer. When I present this information in person in a normal year, I'll have 50 to 60 participants. And it's great because often the question one family has is the same as someone else's, or things are brought up that I hadn't even thought about that I'm able to address with families. So in order to mirror that same opportunity, we wanted to provide a chance to talk with you live about any general questions you have about the program. If you have questions specific to your child, or you're a student and have questions that's more along the academic advising range, or even, do you think this is right for my kid? We really like to do those one-on-one with your family. And we do take appointments, right now, virtual appointments with parents and students. You can set those appointments up by going to the school, college, and counseling page on the district website or on the high school website under the make appointment link, and make an appointment link with your assigned counselor. And most of those will be done in March. So I will be sending out the link to register and submit for our February 24th Q&A, and we look forward to seeing you then.